It's a dang hornet's nest there around 26 or so. What do you need?
Just free this thing up, please. Keep me away from that little after this race, too.
Finally back in victory lane. Take stock, boys. Hell yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Historic Hot Laps. We got a good one. We had NASCAR at Martinsville this week, some 410 stuff, and we'll cover some history at the end. So let's kick it off with some race recaps. Like I said, we had NASCAR at Martinsville this week. Let's kick it off the Truck Series. Corey Heim qualified for the pole. Second race in a row for that, which is pretty awesome to see. Stage 1 easily goes to Corey Heim. He was dominating throughout the whole race, basically. But Stage 2 also goes to Corey Heim. Had a ton of cautions in the third stage. Daniel Hemrick ends up surviving all the cautions, leads the lap that matters, and gets the win. Veteran of the sport. It's good to see him getting another win. This is actually his first Truck Series win. Not his first NASCAR win, but his first Truck Series win, which is pretty awesome to see. So congrats to him and that team. Heim clearly had the truck to beat, but he got rubbed a little too hard, cut a tire, just couldn't get back to the front. Also notable mention that Luke Baldwin's first truck race. Anybody who's followed modified career and stuff and knows Tommy Baldwin, who's the performance director, race whatever at Rick Ware Racing. Also on Door Bumper Clear podcast for those who listen to that. But his son, Luke Baldwin, did great. He was really fast. Was the fastest in the first practice, I believe. Left it all out there, but he got spun twice, never made it back through the field. Just a rough overall experience towards the end, but he was definitely carrying some speed, so nothing to be upset about there. Let's move over to the Xfinity race. Connor Zilic gets the pole. First year with JRM and showing why he was offered all these opportunities. Actually, JRM had the front row lockout. They know Martinsville, they know the short track stuff, obviously being a good late model team and everything else. Stage 1, Connor Zilic just holds it off, led every lap, gets the stage win, gets great points for his season. Stage 2, also again back-to-back with Zilic and JRM, back-to-back stage wins, so super cool to see that. Stage 3, we had a little less than 100 laps left to go. Things got really messy. So many cautions, and I mean, holy what a finish we had. Taylor Gray had the car to beat towards the end. Sammy Smith kind of did him dirty, kept pushing on it, spun him out, causing a pretty big pile up behind him coming out of turn 4. Austin Hill was right place, right time in that Richard Childress racing machine. Got the win, snuck by all the damage while everybody else was crashing, and got the 100th win in Xfinity for RCR. So that's pretty cool to see, but right place, right time. I think he was running 4th or 5th at the time. Just snuck by when all that was going down and everybody was pushing up top. I'm not sure how many cars were wrecked at the end of that, but it was the majority of the field for sure. Big story after that, Taylor Gray, Sammy Smith, they had some after race tension. There's some stuff in the medical center supposedly. Taylor didn't let his emotions show on camera, which was nice. He was very sportsmanlike to the media. And a post-race Fox interview, he kept his cool. Went on the hunt for Sammy. He found him, tried to start something there, but Sammy was hiding. And yeah, there's pretty good videos online. If you haven't seen it, check it out, look for it. I don't know what's still up and what's been taken down, but a lot of people with their phones out, obviously, when that was going on. I'm excited to see what happens to retaliate from this. There are some penalties we'll talk about here after we recap the Cup Series race, but it'll be interesting to see. Here's Sammy's account of the situation, as he had a good interview post-race with the media, and there's always two sides to every story, so let's check that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I'm not very proud of that, what I did. I mean, it's just, he just has no respect for me, and he was flipping me off under the red flag, swerving at my door. I moved him into one. He still had to lead those 2 restarts, and that going on the back straightaway, I thought to myself, what would he do in this situation? And he would have done the exact same thing. So, he's flipping me off, and that right there was the line for me to ultimately make the decision I made. I mean, if I just let him go, I accepted that I finished second today, and I tried to do my best for my team and myself to win a clock, and it just wasn't good enough. Oh, I mean, no. I mean, he said he wants to go at it. I mean, we can go at it if he wants, but I think, at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a lot more going forward, and that's okay with me.
All right, so moving on from there, we go into the Cup race. Stage 1, pretty calm and collected for the most part. Joey Logano gets the Stage 1 win, gets some points. Josh Berry was running away with the race. He got tagged in the pits by Bubba Wallace. Then they say it's unrelated, but he had a ton of electrical issues following that contact. A lot of battery problems and car cutting out and stuff like that. But Josh Berry was running strong prior to that. And obviously another Berry being in the Wood Brothers Penske-based Ford, Joey Logano being in, the sister car of that, getting the stage win, showing they had speed. And then the day changed dramatically from there. Stage 2, Denny Hamlin gets to the front and he never let it go from there. He gets a stage win in Stage 2, dominates all of Stage 3 as well, and gets the win. So Denny Hamlin goes straight to the victory circle on that one. Over 10 years since he'd won there. But it's actually his 6th win in Martinsville. Kind of crazy. It's been a decade, with 2 races there a year. So call it 20 races, if you will, that he hasn't won. But another solid points day for him, locked into the playoffs now. Towards the end, Denny held up a flag saying 11 against the world, which is a play on the Ohio State slogan, which we know Denny is a huge fan of Ohio State. He talks about it on his podcast all the time. But here are his comments on that whole thing as the announcers, didn't really sell it too well to the fans of how he was portraying things, thinking it was kind of an ugly scene. But just Denny being Denny, you're going to love him, you're going to hate him, whatever it is. But here's his comments.
It's just, that's me. I mean, go shoot hoops with me, go play pickleball with me, go play golf with me. If I can't talk, then it takes away my superpower. It really does. I'm not nearly as good. My friends, it drives them absolutely crazy, but to me, that part of it fuels me, and it just makes me feel good.
Right, so we had Trucks, Xfinity, Cup, all 3 series under the NASCAR flag at Martinsville. We also had a lot of penalties, so let's just start there. Right out of the Cup race, the number 43 Toyota Camry, driven by Jones, was just DQ'd after failing post-race inspection for not meeting the minimum weight requirement. It's weird that he must have just got a random lottery pull or something, because it's super strange that a car that finished in 24th place gets inspected, but maybe it was because he did get stage points, but he did get stage points in the first stage of the race. I believe he finished 5th there, so he loses his points there. His driver points, I think he slipped back 5 spots now. Not real sure where he's at in the standings. Not really worth, he's not in the front, I'll tell you that. But Legacy Motor Club said they will not appeal the decision. They clearly know they were underweight by enough that there's no rhyme or reason for it, so that covers that one. 2 members of SVG, Shane Van Gissenberg's number 88 Trackhouse race team, have been penalized for the right rear wheel coming off during the last, was it the last stage? I can't remember. I'm going to be honest with you. But did come off, I believe it was the last stage, causing, caution and everything else. And that's kind of the protocol, right? You're going to lose team members if a tire comes off. It's written in the rule books. So both the Jackman and tire changer are out on SVG's car for the next 2 weeks. Moving from there to the Xfinity stuff, Sammy Smith picked up a pretty big $25,000 fine and lost 50 driver points for wrecking Taylor Gray. So obviously NASCAR sided with Taylor Gray on that one. It was pretty clear what had happened there. They're trying to set a precedence and a protocol moving forward, what it's going to be like. So that being said, Taylor Gray and Jeb Burton were both fined $5,000 apiece for confronting other drivers in the infield care center after the race. So you can't be trying to fight guys in the medical tent. It is what it is. So they each get $5,000 apiece on that one. Haas factory team was fined $5,000 for a lug nut violation on Sheldon Creed's 00 car. And then the only truck penalty that I know of was a similar thing, lug nut penalty for Rajah Caruth and number 71 truck for Spire. So those are the penalties post Martinsville. Pretty good list, but yeah, it was a good weekend of racing there. Moving over to the Cars Tour with the late models at Wake County Speedway. I'm just gonna say it, I say it every time. Cars Tour is awesome. Love what they're doing over there. It's exciting. The platform for these drivers is there. They know that eyes are on them from NASCAR, and they do some awesome stuff. So it's really cool to see what they can do. A couple big incidents in turn 1 right out of the gate, and then that would seem to be just kind of the spot for incidents. But without getting too deep detailed on all the wrecks and everything. Mini Tyrell dominated the race for the later half of it. For those who don't know who that driver is, that is his actual name, Mini Tyrell, Minityrrell. Anyway, every restart, he made the right moves. Just awesome short track skills from him. Getting his first win in 4 seasons. So he's been in a bit of a drought, but he did get the win there, so that's awesome to see, and congrats to him and the team there. Moving over to some sprint car stuff, we had High Limit at Central Arizona on Saturday night. Feature, pretty awesome. Casey Kane on the pole, takes a good lead out of the gate, ends up with some trouble. Brad Sweet drives for Casey Kane, and Casey Kane owns the car that Brad Sweet's driving. They had a good battle going. Tyler Courtney was peeking in there a bit too, but Sweet made a good slide on the last corner, took the win over Casey Kane, and gets the team, a 1-2 finish, but Sweet just adding to that points total for the year. So pretty good racing there. That's always a fun track to watch everybody on. It's fast, rubber's in real nice. So yeah, just overall great to see the High Limit series doing exactly what they were doing last year and taking over. So pretty awesome to see.
It's hard racing for him. I've been cheering for him to get his first win for so long, but we got to make him earn it, and he did a great job, honestly. Just lap traffic was a little tricky to know where to go, and the track was really dirty and crumbly and kind of tough to figure out where the grip was. So luckily I was able to get by him just for my sake, and I'm happy to get the Napa Auto Parts car in victory lane, and yeah, in front of a great crowd. Obviously, thanks for sitting through that track prep. Obviously we knew that it needed to happen so we could put on a good show for you guys. So hope you enjoyed it, and obviously we want to keep building upon this event out here in Phoenix. So just excited that it was a good solid weekend for our race team. Obviously, like you said, no podium last night, but we had a good car. We had a great race last night, and you always want to be standing on the top side of the podium on the final night.
From there, we had World of Outlaws. Just one race Friday night, a lot in Speedway. Buddy Kofoid pretty much dominated the main. There's not a whole lot to talk about there. Caution a lap 6, Buddy gets the win from that. I've just held on the whole time. So let's hear him talk about it real quick and review the track conditions.
There was times where I knew the bottom was probably giving out, but I didn't want to move up and then get past, moving around as a leader. And in a place like this, it's so hard. The lines change so much, kind of like Cotton Bowl. You need to be on your toes and kind of looking around and feeling and engaging yourself to the lap cars. And, there was a point in time where I was kind of the same speed as them, and they were starting to pull me down at a 2 on the top. So I'm like, man, I gotta move up. And then felt a lot better, but and then it got really tricky down in 3 and 4 and kept hooking the cushion. And, coming, I think 2 to go, I thought I almost gave it away, and it got super tight. But, the 41, they were really good. They were there the whole race, and I could see them and hear them. And I think there's probably a little bit we need to work on, but I think, a track like that, being able to move around kind of worked to my wheelhouse. So.
All right, we covered the race recap. Let's talk about some news. Not a huge week of news right now, but we do have a few big things out of IndyCar. Post-thermal, Andretti Global, and notably Colton Hurd over here with a DQ penalty after the number 26 Gainbridge car failed tech inspection post-race. Unfortunate for Colton and his quest to get a championship this year. Another one we need to add in is Prema and the Schwartzman fire in practice. They were penalized for violating the fire suppression protocol in their car. Simple oversight by a rookie team. It's going to cost them 10 points in the championship. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we know it could come down to that gap at the end. Not that we expect Prema to be in contention this early in the careers, but first inaugural season. But just interesting. The other thing, IndyCar announced that Tino Belli has jumped in as the overall design manager on the looks of the new Dallara chassis that's in the works, this new car we keep talking about. It's good news from a fan perspective because we won't have to look at a rolling trash can on 4 wheels. It should have some good lines to it, be a good design. Penske might actually pull off a good-looking next-gen car for IndyCar with Tino's help, so I'm excited to see what he can do. It was also just announced that Jay Fry has joined RLL as team president after being relieved of his duties over there at IndyCar. It's no surprise someone with the knowledge of the sport and the time he's had in would end up somewhere. And honestly, RLL needs this a lot. They're in a bad direction. Hopefully this will help steer them in the right direction and, be a competitor once again. So be really interesting to see what happens with all of that. Moving to Indy NXT, HMD Motorsports already parted ways with Sofia Flores. 1 race in, so it didn't take long for that. It says it was a mutual agreement. I don't know. media reported mutual agreement, but probably money, sponsorship involvement, whatever the case may be. But that's where we're at with that on the NXT side of things. Moving over from there, NASCAR news. Steve Phelps has been named as commissioner of NASCAR entities. He has 20 years in the sport. Recently, he was the president of NASCAR. He's on NASCAR radio a lot on XM. He will oversee both the NASCAR and the IMSA side. As we know, NASCAR and IMSA are the same entity at the end of the day with his new role as commissioner. So pretty awesome. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully things will get straightened out. Things will get a little more even. But I mean, their product's still good. They're just need to tighten up the ship a little bit and figure out how to make the racing a little cleaner from an old school fan perspective. It's getting a little wild and a little hard to watch some of these things, but we'll see what happens. Last piece of news we've got today, some dirt track news. Tony Stewart Racing have announced that they have ended their partnership with Ford Performance and the Shaver Specialty Engine Group. They were developing that FPS 410 engine. Ford's going to continue to develop it with Shaver, but without the help of Tony Stewart. So BIA and Tony Stewart Racing Group. So it'll be interesting to see that. I don't think we'll see much from it. I'm not really too surprised. Tony's pretty much all in on the Dodge stuff over there with his, straight line efforts and the Top Fuel team and everything else. So we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, good luck to Ford Performance on engine development there.
I don't do anything that I'm not good at just because it's popular. I know what I'm good at, and I'm gonna stick to that. If we're gonna win Le Mans, it'd be kind of cool if I did it.
He came in as fresh as all of them because they're all kind of relatively fresh as far as compared to what we're all used to in the car. He was pretty good when he started. He got better and better throughout the years, but so did the other guys. And if you look at the pace difference between them now, we're talking tenths everywhere they go, and they seem to. And kind of like action sports, they all raise their game together, and the pros are pretty much where they're going to be, but they had the biggest margin to improve, and I think they've, as a group, it's kind of cool to watch because it seems they've all driven each other to a greater height, and thus far Henrik's made the least mistakes and always put the ball back in the pros' court.
Last but not least, let's talk a little bit of history. This week we're covering DragonSpeed Racing. They've been in a lot of different things. Primarily, my experience with them is in IndyCar over the short time they were there. But yeah, let's talk about it. So, years 2007, DragonSpeed was founded by racing driver Elton Julian. They were picking up small Pro-Am events, things like that. A lot of circuits. 4 years later, after hitting a little bit of a stride, they made their race debut at the 430 Ferrari Challenge in a GT category in the 2011 24 Hours of Daytona. 4 years later, they made their race debut driving a Ferrari F430 Challenge car in the GT category in was 24 Hours of Daytona, and I believe it was in 2011, so quite a ways back there. But recent history, they finished 15th in the category and 29th overall, so a decent mid-pack running for a fairly new team, their first time out at the 24 Hours Daytona. They missed the 2012 racing season and joined a prototype challenge class at the 2013 America Le Mans Series, driving a Orca FLM09, which was a Chevrolet-powered Orca. They finished 6th in the season standings, only one team in the category to participate on a part-time schedule. So even though they're part-time, they were still top 10. Pretty awesome to see there. DragonSpeed then switched over to the Pirelli World Challenge in 2014. They had Henrik Hedman and Mike Hudlin behind the wheel of a Ferrari 458 GT3. Hedman finished 9th in the standings, while Hedlund only had 3 rounds, ending in 22nd. The next year, the team switched to a Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT3. A lot of car swaps for these guys. Hedlund was replaced by Frank Montecalvo and Eric Lux. Montecalvo won the GTA category title that year, so great success by making that driver swap. The team moved to Europe, Pro-Am Cup of the 2015 BES, which was the Blangham Endurance Series. They used the Ferrari 458 GT3 and fielded Hedman again, Julian and Thomas. Hedman, Julian, and then also Thomas Kemenade. In 2016, the team purchased an Orca 05 Nissan to compete in the LMP2 class European Le Mans Series with Hedman, Ben Hanley, and Nicolas Lepere. They had 4 podiums in 6 races, including a win at Spa. Great success there. This was enough for a 4th place in the LMP2 standings that year. 2017, the team bought another Orca. Actually, they bought two Orca 07 Gibsons, retained some of the same lineup for one car, and the other car branded as G-Drive Racing with Memo Rojas, Leo Rosal as their full-time drivers. They also had a driver, Toyota development driver by the name of Ryo Hokara, but due to his commitments with Toyota, he was forced to miss the Red Bull Ring and the circuit. Paul Ricard. He was then replaced by Nicholas Menasian, and the team had their first double winning the Monza round. The G-Drive branded car won this series after 5 podiums and 6 races. So a lot of good fortune with driver swaps went their way over the years. 2018, they continued to stand out in the LMP2 category in the Le Mans series. Same lineup of drivers. DragonSpeed then purchased the BR Engineering BR1 Gibson car and made their debut in the LMP1 class of the FIA World Endurance Championship. In 2018, the LMP1 squad featured Hedman, Hanley, Pietro Fittipaldi, who we know from the IndyCar world as of late, Renger van Zerdante, who's still running sports cars, and they all split driver duties. They also ran an LMP2 car with Roberto Gonzalez, Pastor Maldonado, and Nathaniel Berthon, and also Anthony Davidson. So they who replaced Berthon at the 24-hour Le Mans race. So pretty solid lineup. December of 2018, they announced they would join forces in IndyCar in 2019 on a 5-race schedule, including the 103rd Indianapolis 500. They ran under the number 81 Chevrolet Power, driven by Ben Hanley. First race, the 2019 Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Hanley advanced to the second round of qualifying 12th, which is pretty good to see. Fast 12. Then finished 18th, 2 laps down at the end of that race, but not in the very back. So, I mean, they were, for the first race out, they did okay. The team finished 21st at the Grand Prix of Alabama that year, and then they did qualify their third race at the 103rd Indianapolis 500. They struggled for speed, but they finished 27th overall, so still had some room to make some mistakes before they were out of the field, so they did qualify. They did have a mechanical issue that took them out early in the race, so they finished 32nd overall. And they still had 2 more races on the season. They were supposed to race at Road America Mid-Ohio, but they had some issues with their drivers' visas that prevented them from getting on track, and after the Indy 500, they did not participate in any other races that season in IndyCar. In August of 2019, Elton Julian, who was a team owner, stated that the team planned to enter 10 races in 2020 with Hanley as a driver, possibility of additional races, trying to push for a full season in IndyCar. Different drivers could be used if the team were to go beyond the planned 10 races, if they could find the sponsorship and the driver talent for all that. But in December, an announcement from the team said that they had finalized plans to run 6 races in 2020. They were going to run St. Petersburg, Long Beach, Texas, Mid-Ohio, Laguna Seca, and the Indy 500. However, this was COVID-19 year, led to the cancellation of St. Petersburg, Long Beach, Mid-Ohio, Laguna Seca, and they did not field an entry for Texas. So later that year, on August 8th, the team announced that Hanley would drive in the Indy 500 again. But with little prep time, the team had tons of mechanical issues, resulting in qualifying 33rd in last position, which was pretty wild to watch when that happened. The car actually finished in 23rd place in the race, so not a bad showing considering that was the only race they ran that year. Later that year in October, at the end of the season, the team shuttered their IndyCar Series program and sold their IndyCar assets to Meyer-Shank Racing, citing that they lost 2 years of competition due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Julian left open the possibility of returning to the series when something would pick up for IndyCar if the resources were available. But the interesting fun fact here is, while no one from DragonSpeed was involved, the car that once belonged to the team went on to win the 2021 Indianapolis 500, driven by Helio Castroneves when he got his 4th one for Meyer-Shank Racing. So pretty awesome to see. You know, that was a good chassis, clearly. I don't know if that chassis has been destroyed or if it's still in motion, since we're still running the DW12s, but that one would have been retired because it was a race one, so never mind. That one's probably in the museum, which, by the way, the museum grand opening is tomorrow as I record this. Call it the 2nd of April. So make sure you go down there, support the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. I'll be there in May, but awesome to see that legacy lived on there. DragonSpeed returned to IndyCar for the 2022 Indianapolis 500 after that. They had a joint entry with Cusack Motorsports by Stefan Wilson. They borrowed a chassis from AJ Foyt and, went for their entry there, but no good results to talk about with that. So currently, here's where the DragonSpeed efforts are. They participate in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the FIA World Endurance Championship, and the European Le Mans Series. So still going strong, just no longer in IndyCar. So that part's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Team championships, they won the 2017 LMP2 European Le Mans Series Championship, driver championships, Pirelli World Challenge in 2015 in the GTA class, and European Le Mans Series LMP2 in 2017. They were team and driver championship there with Rojas and Rosell. So good history, a lot of good drivers through there. Some current drivers still that are having great success with other teams. Said their equipment won the Indy 500, whether they did or not. Their chassis did. We've got that going for them. But that's about it. That wraps us up on our history portion today and also concludes this episode. So as always, please like, share, follow, subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Twitter, TikTok. I think we're on all of them. I don't know at this point. There's a lot to balance, but working on some other swag and some stuff. Reach out if you're going to be around Indianapolis 500 in the month of May. We may be out there, maybe with some stickers and stuff like that, rocking some Historic Hot Laps gear, so you'll know if you see somebody with Historic Hot Laps on their shirt or credentials or anything like that, that you know that they're part of the podcast. So yeah, aside from that, appreciate the listens, as always, and till next time, stay safe, and thanks for tuning in.
Nobody's going to forget it because of that last lap drama.
And this was extraordinary stuff. There go the Totas, but the cars behind were still battling.
Yep.
You see LMP2 standings. First Brown win of the season for DragonSpeed.
I'm going to say one of the happiest men in the place will be Henrik Hedman, because he could so easily have succumbed to the pressure of being hunted down by a genuine Top Gun.
Well, we were all sitting here going, oh, what are they doing? What are DragonSpeed doing? Putting him in for the finish. They obviously had to complete his time.
They
had that strategic advantage. Yep. They had done their final stop.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to follow us at Historic Hot Laps on X and all your other social platforms for the latest updates and sneak peeks into upcoming episodes. You can reach out to us directly at historichotlaps@gmail.com. Send us your feedback, questions, comments, opinions, and additional subject matter you'd like us to cover. Thanks for tuning in.